When every doctor, every medical association, and every scientist is labeled corrupt, there's only one person left to trust, the politician making the claim. Bernie Sanders wasn't having it, and what he exposed today was bigger than any vaccine debate.
President Trump, who I don't usually agree with, called COVID vaccines, quote, one of the greatest miracles in the history of modern-day medicine that saved tens of millions of lives worldwide. Scientific community agrees with Trump. Lancet study found that it prevented almost 20 million deaths during their first year of use. Secretary Kennedy, are President Trump and the medical community right, or do you still believe that the COVID vaccine was, quote, the deadliest vaccine ever made?
No, first of all, I didn't say that. I said that in terms of affairs reports a while ago. I said today, I think that President Trump should get the Nobel Prize.
So who's right? Is Trump in the medical community right, or are you right?
President Trump did an extraordinary piece of leadership.
Is he right or wrong? Did COVID save millions of lives?
As I said, he got Americans back to work. At that time, that particular vaccine was perfectly matched to the virus that was circulating then. And I have no idea how many lives it saved, but it saved quite a few.
You know, what I find a little bit weird in this discussion, I'm hearing it over and over again this morning, Mr. Chairman, is we've got the entire medical community on one side. You got the AMA representing hundreds of thousands of doctors, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Public Health Association. All of these organizations are telling us that COVID vaccine and vaccines in general are safe and effective. You are casting doubt on that. Who are who are the organizations that are agreeing with you and casting aspersions on vaccines?
The primary advisors are Marty McCary, Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. Oz, Vinay Prasad.
So you got a few doctors who agree with you, and I'm giving you the name.
Not a few doctors. What you're talking about is there's a big difference, Senator, between established science and the scientific establishment, which has been co-opted by the pharmaceutical industry.
So you're telling the American people that the American Medical Association, representing hundreds of thousands of people, have been co-opted and that they should not trust their doctors.
And I'm
the American Academy of Pediatrics, and by the way, just for the record, every single Republican, I don't mean to be political here, Mr. Chairman, has received PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. Are they all corrupt as well?
And I'm telling you, the American Heart Association has been co-opted by the food
Everybody
industry.
but you, Senator. But you know what? When you ran for president, you know, we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Maybe you will agree with me on that. Okay, you were running for president, you got a billionaire behind it. You received $300,000 from people, not from the industry, people in it, as I did, from individuals. You corrupt. President Trump got $3 million. Every Republican got corporate PAC money for the pharmaceutical industry. Democrats as well. Everybody is corrupt, but you? Is that what we're looking at? I don't think so. And I think the issue now...
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, I think you do know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The issue is every time anyone disagrees with you...
Are you saying the pharmaceutical industry was supporting my presidential campaign?
I'm saying,
I don't think so.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the pharmaceutical industry is a greedy institution which is charging us the highest prices in the world. They are pervasive. But to suggest that every institution, the AMA, the pediatrics people, is corrupt because they disagree with you is an insult to the American people.
Listen, people disagree with me all the time. I have arguments in my agency, heated arguments every day with Jay Bhattacharya, with Marty McCary, with Dr. Oz.
You have given the names of a few people. I have given you the names of organizations representing hundreds of thousands of doctors and scientists. I yield, Mr. President.
Senator Tillis.
What you just witnessed wasn't a clash about medicine. It was a clash about power, credibility, and the dangerous world that opens up when a public figure claims that everyone is corrupt except themselves. Bernie Sanders didn't simply challenge RFK Jr.'s claims. He dragged the conversation back to reality, to institutions, to evidence, to the foundational idea that truth isn't something you get to reinvent when it becomes inconvenient. RFK Jr. has built an entire political lane on the idea that he alone can see the conspiracy, that he alone is the one brave enough to speak out, that every medical association, every pediatric expert, every public health scientist, every national and global institution is somehow bought, captured, or compromised. And Bernie Sanders put a mirror in front of him and asked the simplest, most devastating question of the entire hearing. Everybody is corrupt except you? That's the moment the tension snapped, because what RFK Jr. is selling, the narrative that hundreds of thousands of medical professionals across the country are part of a coordinated, profit-driven conspiracy, collapses the second it's held up to scrutiny. Bernie Sanders didn't need theatrics. He didn't need to shout. He simply named the absurdity. If every institution is untrustworthy, if every doctor is corrupt, if every association is compromised, then the entire medical system is a lie, and democracy itself is unworkable. And that is exactly why this exchange matters. Because the appeal of RFK Jr.'s worldview is seductive. It gives people an explanation for fear. It gives them a villain they can see and an outsider hero they can believe in. But it also strips away the idea that expertise matters. It turns science into a popularity contest. And it tells Americans that the only honest authority is the one promising them that everyone else is lying. Bernie Sanders, a man who has spent his entire career fighting corporate greed, wasn't defending Big Pharma. He was defending the integrity of collective knowledge. He was defending the idea that evidence, not ego, should guide our public health decisions. He was defending the very structure of reality that RFK's rhetoric tries to destabilize. And then Bernie did something that only Bernie can do. He flipped Kennedy's own logic back on him. If receiving campaign donations from people with ties to an industry automatically makes someone corrupt, then what does that say about RFK Jr.'s billionaire donors? What does it say about Trump's donors? What does it say about Congress? What does it say about America? The truth is that RFK Jr.'s argument doesn't scale. It doesn't hold. It doesn't explain anything. And Bernie exposed that hollowness with just a few pointed questions. This wasn't a debate about the past. It was a warning for the future. Because conspiracy politics doesn't stay in one lane. It spreads, it metastasizes, and eventually it consumes every part of public life that depends on shared facts. What Sanders made clear is that trust isn't naive, it's necessary. And breaking trust for political gain isn't bravery, it's a direct threat to the fabric of a functioning society. If you want leaders who can tell the truth, even when it's inconvenient, share this video. Because the fight for reality, the fight for what we as a country can collectively agree is true, is one we can't afford to lose.